They told you the pyramids were tombs. They told you millions of slaves dragged giant stones with ropes and copper chisels. They told you the pharaohs built them to glorify themselves. They told you this was just ancient architecture. And you believed it, because everyone did, because it was in textbooks, because teachers said so, because museums displayed it as fact, because archaeologists with degrees and credentials confirmed it. But what if I told you that no pharaoh was ever found in a pyramid? No mummy, no burial goods, no royal markings, no funerary texts. Nothing that confirms they were tombs. What if I told you the evidence has been in front of us the entire time, and it points to something else? Something massive, something advanced, something they don't want you to know. This isn't a theory. This isn't speculation. This is the truth they've buried for 200 years. Welcome to Beyond the Forbidden, and tonight, the lie ends. Let's start with what's missing. The Great Pyramid contains no hieroglyphs, no artwork, no inscriptions, no signs of burial ritual, no torches, no soot, no ceremonial chambers, no treasure, no bodies. If the most powerful rulers in Egypt built the greatest structure in their civilization, why would they leave no record of themselves? Pharaohs carved their names into everything: walls, tombs, statues, obelisks, temple gates. Every surface they touched had their cartouche stamped on it. They wanted to be remembered. They demanded to be worshipped. Their entire culture revolved around eternal recognition. Yet the pyramids, the most impressive construction achievements of the ancient world, are silent. Not one carved name, not one declaration, not one message saying, "This is my tomb." Why? Because they didn't build them. Now let's talk about what archaeologists found instead. In actual Egyptian tombs, the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, the tombs of nobles, you find everything. Hieroglyphs covering every wall, paintings of the afterlife journey, lists of offerings, prayers, curses against tomb robbers, mummies wrapped and preserved, canopic jars holding organs, furniture, jewelry, food, everything needed for the afterlife. The pyramids? Nothing. Not one mummy in the Great Pyramid. Not one in Khafre's pyramid. Not one in Menkaur's pyramid. The official story? Grave robbers. But think about that for a second. The pyramids were sealed. The entrances were hidden behind casing stones. The passages were deliberately blocked. The entire structure was designed to be impenetrable. Modern archaeologists with maps, blueprints, and power tools struggle to navigate these structures. But we're supposed to believe ancient grave robbers found their way in, removed every single trace of burial, and left behind massive granite boxes they couldn't possibly move. No, that's not what happened. The pyramids were never tombs. The entire narrative is built on an assumption made in the 1800s by European colonizers who needed a simple explanation for something they didn't understand. And that assumption became dogma. Question it today and you're labeled a conspiracy theorist. Challenge the narrative and you lose academic credibility. Present evidence contradicting it and you're dismissed as pseudoscience. Why? Because the truth is too dangerous. Let's talk numbers, because this is where the official story completely collapses. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 0.05 degrees. Modern engineers using GPS satellites and laser theodolites can barely match that precision. This structure was supposedly built 4,500 years ago with copper tools and rope. Explain that. The base is level to within 1/8 of an inch across 13 acres. Your house isn't that level. Skyscrapers aren't that level. But a primitive tomb built by slaves is somehow more precise than anything we construct today? No, that's not primitive. That's advanced. Now let's talk about what the pyramid encodes. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height is exactly 2 pi. Pi, 3.14159. A mathematical constant, supposedly not discovered until ancient Greece, 2,000 years after the pyramid was built. Yet there it is, embedded in stone. The pyramid encodes the golden ratio, phi, 1.618. This ratio governs natural growth patterns, appears throughout nature, and is considered one of the most important constants in mathematics. The ancient Egyptians supposedly didn't know it existed, but they built it into their tomb. The latitude of the Great Pyramid is 29.9792458 degrees north. The speed of light in a vacuum is 299,792,458 meters per second. The same numbers. Coincidence? When you have one coincidence, maybe. When you have dozens, you're looking at design. The pyramid's height multiplied by 43,200 equals the polar radius of Earth. The pyramid's base perimeter multiplied by 43,200 equals the equatorial circumference of Earth. How did they know Earth's dimensions? How did they know the planet was round? How did they measure it? The official explanation? They didn't. These are all mathematical accidents. But that's intellectually dishonest. You don't accidentally encode pi, phi, the speed of light, and Earth's dimensions into a single structure. You design it that way, which means the builders knew advanced mathematics, understood planetary science, and possessed knowledge that wouldn't be rediscovered for thousands of years. Now let's talk construction timeline. 2.3 million stone blocks, 20-year construction period. That's 115,000 blocks per year, 315 blocks per day. If they worked 10 hours a day, that's one block placed every 2 minutes for 20 years straight. No breaks, no errors, no delays. Some blocks weigh 80 tons. That's 160,000 pounds. You need to quarry it, transport it, lift it 200 feet, position it with millimeter precision every 2 minutes for 20 years. Does that sound possible with copper tools and rope? No, it's absurd. Modern cranes struggle with 80-ton loads. You need hydraulic systems, steel cables, and precision engineering. But slaves with wooden sledges did it? No, they didn't, because the pyramids weren't built in 20 years by Pharaoh Khufu. They were built by a civilization far more advanced, and Egypt inherited them. Now we get to what they really don't want you to know. The pyramids weren't tombs. They were machines, power plants. Here's how it works. The Great Pyramid is built primarily from limestone, but the interior chambers, the King's Chamber and Queen's Chamber, are constructed entirely from granite. Why granite? Because granite contains high concentrations of quartz crystal, and quartz is piezoelectric. When you apply pressure or vibration to quartz, it generates an electrical charge. This isn't speculation. This is established physics. Your watch uses quartz oscillators. Your electronics use quartz crystals. Quartz converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. The pyramid is filled with quartz-rich granite. Now look at what's beneath it. Underground aquifers, water channels, subterranean rivers flowing beneath the Giza Plateau. Water generates pressure. Pressure creates vibration. Vibration travels through the limestone and granite structure. The granite chambers amplify the vibration. The quartz crystals generate electrical charge. The pyramid was a resonant capacitor, a geometric battery, a wireless power generator. The shafts inside the pyramid, the ones Egyptologists call air shafts, don't actually reach the outside. They terminate inside the structure. They're not for air. They're conduits for energy. The entire pyramid is designed to channel, amplify, and transmit electromagnetic energy. This is not ancient religion. This is ancient technology. And we know this because Nikola Tesla studied it. Tesla, the man who invented AC electricity, wireless transmission, and radio technology, was obsessed with the pyramids. He believed they were power plants. He believed ancient civilizations had mastered wireless energy transmission. And he tried to recreate it. His Wardenclyffe Tower was designed to transmit electrical power wirelessly across the planet using Earth's electromagnetic field. The geometry, based on the pyramid. The principle, harmonic resonance and energy amplification. Tesla proved it worked. And the moment he did, his funding was cut. His tower was destroyed. His research was confiscated. Why? Because free energy destroys the entire power structure of modern civilization. If energy is free and wireless, you don't need power companies, utility grids, oil corporations, coal plants, nuclear facilities. You don't need centralized control. And that terrifies those in power. The pyramids prove it's possible. They prove humanity had this technology thousands of years ago, and they buried it. Not because it's wrong, because it's true. Let's talk about something the experts won't admit. We can't build the pyramids today. Not with the timeline, not with the precision, not with the scale. The blocks fit together so perfectly you can't slide a piece of paper between them. No mortar, just stone on stone. How? The official answer: copper tools and sand abrasives. But that doesn't work. Granite is harder than copper. You can't cut granite with copper tools. You need tools harder than the material you're cutting. Modern attempts to replicate ancient Egyptian stone-cutting techniques using copper and sand take weeks to produce crude, rough-cut blocks. The actual pyramid blocks? Polished, precise, perfect. We can't replicate it. The casing stones that originally covered the pyramid were fitted with gaps of 1/50th of an inch. We can't do that with modern masonry. The granite beams in the king's chamber weigh 50 to 70 tons each. They were transported from Aswan, 500 miles away, then lifted 200 feet into the air. then positioned with millimeter precision. We don't have equipment that can do that today. Without massive cranes, hydraulic lifts, and computer-guided systems. But slaves with rope did it. Number, they didn't. Experiments trying to move multi-ton stones using ancient techniques fail repeatedly. Modern engineers admit they don't know how it was done, but instead of saying, "We don't know," they say, "slaves and ramps," because admitting ignorance means admitting the narrative is false. And that can't be allowed. The pyramid wasn't built by primitive labor. It was built by advanced technology we don't understand. Technology that's been deliberately erased from history. Egypt did not begin with the pyramids. The pyramids were already there. Every Egyptian text says the same thing. The pyramids were built in the time of the gods. Not kings, not pharaohs, not dynasties. Gods. The Egyptians inherited them. They restored them, revered them, used them, but never claimed to have built them. Their own records describe a golden age that came before their civilization. They called it Zep Tepi, the first time. An era when knowledge was pure, when technology was advanced, when humanity lived in harmony with cosmic forces. This isn't mythology. This is memory. Around 12,800 years ago, something catastrophic happened. Evidence points to asteroid impact, solar flare event, rapid climate shift, massive flooding. The Younger Dryas event wiped out civilizations across the planet. Flood myths exist in every culture. The Bible describes Noah's flood. Sumerian texts describe Ziusudra surviving a deluge. Hindu scriptures describe Manu and the Great Flood. Native American legends describe world-ending floods. Aboriginal stories describe the land sinking beneath the waves. These aren't independent myths. They're cultural memories of the same event, a global cataclysm that destroyed an advanced civilization. But survivors remained. They carried knowledge, technology, mathematics, astronomy, and they rebuilt. Egypt was one of their outposts. Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, Peru, Mexico, Easter Island. All of these civilizations appear suddenly, fully formed, with advanced architecture, writing systems, and astronomical knowledge. No slow evolution, no gradual development. They just appear. Why? Because they inherited knowledge from the survivors. The pyramids are not Egyptian achievements. They are survivor monuments. They are messages in stone. They are proof that we've been here before. And we fell. Let me show you something they really don't talk about. The king's chamber resonates at 110 hertz. When you produce sound at that frequency inside the chamber, the entire structure vibrates. This isn't random. 110 hertz affects human consciousness. Studies show that exposure to this frequency alters brain activity, induces trance states, enhances cognitive function. deactivates the language centers of the brain, activates intuitive and creative centers. The chamber wasn't for burying bodies. It was for altering consciousness, for initiating seekers, for accessing states of awareness we've forgotten. Chanting in the king's chamber produces effects that can't be replicated anywhere else. The acoustics are intentional. The geometry is intentional. This was a chamber of transformation, of communication, possibly with something beyond normal perception. And they don't want you to know that. Because if ancient people understood neuroscience, frequency, and consciousness thousands of years before modern science, then they weren't primitive. They were advanced. And everything you've been taught is a lie. So why lie? Why maintain this false narrative for over 200 years? Because if humanity learns the truth, everything changes. If we learn we had a golden age before recorded history, we realize progress isn't linear. Civilization can fall. We can lose everything. If we learn the pyramids were power plants generating free wireless energy, we realize scarcity is artificial. Control is artificial. Energy doesn't need to be monopolized. If we learn ancient people were as advanced or more advanced than we are, we realize the institutions claiming authority, academia, governments, corporations, have been lying, not mistaken. Lying. The evidence has always been there. They chose to ignore it. They chose to suppress it. They chose to attack anyone who questioned it. The lie is not about the pyramids. The lie is about human potential. They want you to believe you are at the peak of human achievement. You need them to progress. You are dependent on their systems. Because if you understood that we fell from a greater height, you would demand to rise again. And they can't allow that. So they bury the past to control the future. They label truth as conspiracy. They mock researchers as fringe. They gatekeep knowledge behind institutions, all to protect the lie. But the evidence doesn't care about their narrative. The mathematics don't lie. The engineering doesn't lie. The stones don't lie. Only the people interpreting them do. The pyramids are not tombs. They never were. They are power stations, knowledge vaults, messages in stone, reminders of a world that came before, a world they do not want you to remember. But now you do. Now you've seen the evidence. The missing mummies. The impossible mathematics. The advanced engineering. The piezoelectric power system. The erased civilization. The deliberate cover-up. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You cannot go back to believing the comfortable lie. You know they lied to you. You know why they lied. And you know what that means. It means everything they teach you is designed to keep you controlled, dependent, ignorant of your true potential. But the pyramids remain, standing as proof that we were greater once, proof that we can be greater again. This is beyond the forbidden, and the truth is only beginning. Share this. Question everything. And remember, the greatest lie ever told was that we are the peak of human civilization. We're not the peak. We're the remnants. And it's time to rebuild.